Hey guys, happy Friday. I hope everybody is doing well out there today. Today I want to kind of continue our Raspberry Pi home server series, and in this video I want to talk about setting up a WordPress instance on your Docker servers. So today we're going to take a look at hosting a WordPress website on a Raspberry Pi Docker server. Now, like my last video, this video does have some prerequisites if you want to follow along. The first one is you'll probably need some sort of a reverse proxy set up on your network. I'm going to be using Nginx Proxy Manager just because it's easy to use. So we're going to do that. Also, you're going to need a domain name. If you don't have a domain name, you can go over to Porkbun and get a .link or a .click domain right now through the end of the year for 99 cents using the code DBTech, all uppercase, and no spaces or anything. So I will have a link to that with more information in the description down below. And then, of course, if you've been following the series, we're going to start everything off in Cloudflare. So if you don't have a Cloudflare account, go take a look at the video earlier in this series. There'll be a link to the playlist, again, in the description down below, where you can go check that video out and learn how to set up Cloudflare on your network so that, or on your, for your domain, rather, so you can have some extra security for absolutely no cost. So first thing we're going to do is jump over to my desktop and take a look at Cloudflare here. So I'm going to use my dbtech.link domain right here in this blurry area. You can, well, that's my IP address. You can't see it, but that's what's going on there. So what I want to do is actually create a CNAME record for a subdomain. So what I'll do is I'll click Add a Record. I'm going to come down here to where it says CNAME. Nope, I did that wrong. WP and then at, like that. So our domain name will be wp.dbtech.link. So your CNAME should be whatever you want your subdomain to be for the name, and the target should be at. Over here, we've got our proxy status. We need to change this just temporarily to DNS only. So we're going to switch that. Then we're going to click Save. For right now, we are done with Cloudflare, but we are going to come back to this here in just a little while. So the next thing we want to do is come over here to my GitHub repository here, or my Gist, however you want to pronounce that. I will again have this linked in the description down below as well, where you can just come over here and grab this. Just go ahead and highlight all of that, right click, click copy, do Control C, however you want to do that. Then we'll jump over to Portainer. We're going to click on Add a New Container. No, we're not. We're going to go to Stacks, and we're going to add a stack, and we're just going to paste that in there. I'm going to copy the image name and give that for our stack name here. And basically, this is good to go if you've been following along with the rest of the videos in this series. But I will walk you through a little bit of this just so we've got a better understanding of what's going on here. Starting at the top, we're using Stack version 2.1. Our service is WordPress. Our image is going to be WordPress. We're actually going to pull the actual official WordPress image for this. Restart will be always, so if it runs into any hiccups or whatever, it'll automatically restart. By default, this was on, both of these were set to 80, but because we've got Nginx Proxy Manager and some other stuff installed on there, 84 was my next available port, so that's what I'm going to use for my external port. Don't change the internal port. That 80 needs to stay right there where it is. Now the WordPress DB host, that's actually being called from down here. This is our second instance, our second container in this stack, and that's going to be our database. So we've just shortened that to DB, and our DB, or our WordPress DB host, just matches what we've got down here. Our DB user is example user, example pass, and example DB. You can change these if you'd like. In fact, I highly encourage you to change these three entries right here, but if you do, be sure to come down here and match these up exactly. No typos, no fat fingering. Everything has to be exact. So whatever is up here needs to match down here. And then, so we come back up to our WordPress container here. This is the path where we're going to store our WordPress instance on our server. If you're not sure how to get this volume, this path right here, over here, oops, let me get logged back in there. If we come over, this is where all of our stuff is set up in Open Media Vault. If I come down to shared folders, right here we can see that I've got a config and a databases, and then my path is right here, srv dev disk by label files /config and /databases, and that's That's what we have right here, and then again right here as well. But they've both been appended with /WordPress so that you can kind of differentiate that from the rest of your containers. Now, if you had, let's say you wanted to run multiple WordPress instances here, you could do that. Absolutely not an issue here. But what you might do is call this, WordPress 1. And you might call your next one WordPress 2, or you might give them each individual names. Let's say you were going to host a website about cooking. You might call this Cooking WP for both the WordPress instance as well as the database instance. And then your next one might be, Cars WP, or and you could name these whatever you'd like to name them so that they make sense to you, but so that each WordPress instance has its own subfolder. So that's how you can host multiple instances of WordPress, just by giving each one a separate folder name here. Oh, also, in that case, you would also need to give each stack a different name as well. I should mention that. You can't name them all WordPress. They've all got to have a unique name. So just something to keep in mind there. So let's actually go back and change those. You know what? I'm going to leave those as WordPress 1. I don't know if I've actually got anything in a WordPress folder from doing all of the testing I've done lately. So I'm going to give a unique name for that folder for the time being. Down here under database, our image, so moving on here a little bit, the default WordPress database that comes with the official WordPress image doesn't work on Raspberry Pi. I have used Yoba Systems Alpine Maria database in a lot of videos. I've trusted it on countless containers. I've never had an issue with it. So that's what we're going to use here for this image for right now. And then below that, we've got restart always. Again, same reason as above. If you run into an issue, this will automatically restart the container and hopefully keep that container running without any issues. And then below that, we've got our database, our username, and our password that all match up here. And then below that, we've got our MySQL random root. So this is when you create a database, you need a root password. This is just going to generate a random one because you don't need access to it. It's just for the sake of setting up this instance here. So that pretty much covers everything we needed to talk about in this stack. So all we've got to do at this point is come down here and click on deploy the stack. So this may take a couple of minutes to download and extract and set everything up. And once that's done, we'll come back and take a look. Okay, so now that that's done, what we're going to do is click right here where it says WordPress. And I want to take a look at the logs on both of these. Looks like that is up and running. And it looks like we've got Apache 2-D foreground. That is up and running as well. So let's go ahead and click right here. And right here is where we're going to stop. We just want to make sure that this is up and running. We do not want to use our local domain name to go through this setup process. It will cause us issues later. So we're just going to go ahead and close that. And what I want to do next is actually come over here to Nginx Proxy Manager. I'm going to create a new host. We're going to go to Proxy Hosts. We're going to click on Add a New Host. I'm going to say wp.dbtech.link. Yeah, no, that looks right. So we're going to say 22.168.68.127 84 SSL. Okay, so here we've got wp.dbtech.link. That seems to be working. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Okay, so now we're brought up to our the same screen we had just a moment ago. That's good. We're seeing our padlock up here in the address bar, so that's really good. We're glad to see that. What we want to do now, now that that is where we want it to be, we're going to come back over here. We're going to over to Cloudflare, and we're going to turn DNS back on so that it is proxied. And basically at that point, what we can do is click on Continue. Our site title, let's call this DB Tech WordPress. I'll call it DB Tech. I'm going to hide that. And I'm going to create my own super insecure password. I don't think I got that right. Right at dbtechreviews.com. Now this next little bit right here, the search engine visibility, now this is completely up to you. if you want your site to be indexed by search engines and thus made more publicly available on the internet, you can leave this unchecked. But if you would prefer to maintain some privacy and not have your website indexed by search engines, you can check that box and ask them not to index your website. Now, it's completely up to the individual search engines whether or not they honor that request. So just know that this is to discourage them. I'm going to go ahead and check that. I don't want them to index this site at all. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Install WordPress. I'm going to go ahead and say, no, I don't want to save that for right now. So right there, we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Login. My username is dbtech. My password is right there like that. I'm going to say Login. And just like that, now we have WordPress up and running, installed, ready to go. In fact, it is the most current version available right now, so that is really good stuff. Now, there's one other thing that I want to talk about very, very quickly that may come up, and I want to just have the answer for you right now. And that is, by default, like if we come over to the media and we want to add new media, right here we can see the maximum upload size right now is 2 megabytes, and that's not very much when we're talking pictures and things like that. Now, let's keep in mind from a completely web developer perspective, you should be trying to minimize your pictures as much as possible to make your site load as fast as possible, especially when it's your bandwidth on your server from your home, that sort of thing. But you want to keep your images as small as possible when you can. However, 2 megabytes just isn't very much. Let's say you're hosting large PDFs or something like that. 2 megs isn't going to cut it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab this. I will have this linked in the description where you can come over and grab this to follow along. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to come into SSH, and I'm going to go to cd srv/devdisk by label files. I'm going to go to config, and then I'm going to say WordPress 1, like that. And right there is our WordPress instance, with all its different files and that sort of thing. What we want to do is create a php.ini file in this directory here. So I'm going to say sudo nano php.ini. And I'm going to go ahead and just paste that in there. This is saying we can upload files as large as 720 megabytes. I don't recommend that. In fact, you know what? Let's make that like 60 or 64 megabytes. Memory limit is 1 gig. You can adjust that if you'd like. It should be fine. And then the max execution time is 3 minutes. So we should be good to go there. So what we'll do now is we'll say Control-O, Enter, Control-X. So then what we're going to do is come back over to Portainer. We're going to just go ahead and restart both of those containers real quick. We'll say Restart. We'll give those just a second to do their thing. Shouldn't take very long at all. And then we can come back over to here. We'll give that a second. And then we'll say add new, and right there, now our max upload size is 64 megabytes. So from there, you should be able to go ahead and build your WordPress site however you'd like to build it without too much issues. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, it'd mean a lot to me if you do me a favor and give the video a thumbs up. Really does help out quite a bit. In the comment section down below, let me know what you're going to use your WordPress instance for. If you followed along, let me know what your thoughts are on all of that and what you plan to do with your WordPress site. Of course, don't post links. That's just a security risk waiting to happen. Like I said, all of this will be available in the description down below. While you're down there, there will be some links that I'd like you to check out, particularly the sponsors who helped make these Raspberry Pi home server videos possible. Canikit sent over the 8 gig Raspberry Pi 4. Argon 40 sent over their M.2 SSD case. Sabrent sent over a 2 terabyte NVMe drive and the enclosure for that. Also, Porkbun is giving you guys a great discount of getting .link and .click domains for 99 cents through the end of the year, a max of 3 per customer, using the code DBTech. Again, all uppercase, no spaces or anything. Again, all of that information will be available in the description down below. There are some other links if you'd like to help support the channel more directly. If you want to become a patron or support through Coffee, those are both options there. I want to give a big shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys for helping me for the past several months. Really does mean a lot. Also, I've got a couple of new channel members. I want to give them a shout out. Thank you guys for becoming channel members. Really does mean a lot that you guys are willing to support me as well. So I think with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. As always, thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.